Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I used to work as a security team leader for a huge shopping corporation in England. It was getting late on a hell-like shift, and after 8 hours of constant paperwork and other managers thinking their jobs are more important for me to complete, I finally managed to slip to the staff room for something to eat. I sat down and there was a message on my headset from my CCTV officer requesting me in the arrest room as they had an issue. Sighing, I said farewell to my dinner and headed back downstairs to find out what the issue was. They had caught a man with his 10-year-old son eating and discarding the packaging of 2 cooked sausage rolls from our hot counter. These retailed at the time at £1 each, and as the theft was under a £5, we would normally take a name and address and send them on their way within a 6-month span and civil recovery notice. A fine that is usually £80, which covers our wages, electricity, equipment, and so on. This guy had given an address but failed to provide any form of ID confirming the address. Now, if that happens, we have to call the police, which is a real pain in the butt. And the police tend to get pissy over something so trivial. I went into our arrest room and introduced myself and again asked if he had any form of ID on him stating who he was. He smiled and handed me a paddy card, which was an ID card I recognized belonging to a local diving school, and I asked if he was a diver there. He smiled and replied that he was in fact a diving instructor. I told him that I need to confer with my manager if I can accept this, and he let me leave the room with his ID. It was nonsense. My local diving school he claimed to work at was well known to me as my brother ran the diving lake, and I regularly went up there and I've never seen this guy before. On the diving license was a number for this school, so I did what any concerned member of the public did, and I rang the number. The phone was answered by the manager/owner of the school. "Hi, I'm just ringing to give you the heads up that we've just detained one of your instructors for a minor case of shoplifting." He was shocked. All his divers have to be squeaky clean due to working with kids and such, and he requested the diver's name and ID number. He checked his system, and with a sigh of relief he confirmed what I already knew, that this guy wasn't an instructor, but a customer who had passed his basic diving course 2 years prior. I asked if he could do me a favor and tell me if the address I had matched the one on his system, and read it out. It didn't. It was close, but the guy had changed the numbers and postcode so that we would have had incorrect information on him. He gave me the correct address and then announced that there was a second address. I sweet-talked into giving me the second address and thanked him. He thanked me for the heads up. I went on his evening and we hung up. I took the civil recovery notice as strolled into the arrest room and said sickly sweet that this license had been accepted and that they are free to go with a 6-month span and to expect a fine from civil recovery through the post. Forward 6 months later and a woman came in with a box of biscuits for our security team. Now we all like gifts, but we don't usually get those on our side of the job, and the front door guard thanked the woman for the gift and asked why we were receiving it. She said that she had split from her husband and had been filing for sole custody of their son for over a year. She had received a random letter from civil recovery through the post detailing a theft of 2 sausage rolls from our store by her ex-husband and her son. Due to the fact that he had committed a crime with her son in tow, she was getting the custody she had been fighting for so long. 1 year later, I received a letter from civil recovery stating that our diving friend failed to pay the fine and had been taken to court. The amount to pay had jumped from £80 to £2,000, and we won. This happened sometime last year, so the conversation is a bit paraphrased. I work for an unarmed security company complete with uniform and badge. We aren't allowed to have weapons but can defend ourselves or detain people for the police. I am not one for confrontation, but I'm a large, scary-looking guy. I'm over 6 feet and I look like a formal linebacker. Usually, if I stop at the store after work, I take off my uniform shirt, but that day was chilly and my undershirt is pretty thin. So I wore it into the store. I wasn't planning on buying anything, just checking prices for a birthday gift for my wife, so I didn't have a cart or basket. I noticed a young woman, early 20s or younger, I would guess, I never asked, come into the aisle. She looks scared and is looking around, kinda panicked. She sees me and makes a beeline for me. She says, "Hey, can you walk me to my car? Some creepy guy is following me." Now, this isn't the first time I've gotten this request in. I absolutely never say no if a woman comes to me with a request like this. So I say yes, and we start heading to the front of the store. Halfway there, this guy pops out in front of and starts talking to her, saying that she forgot to give him her number. I step between them and tell him that she does not appreciate him following her and that he will be removed from the store if he persists. Obviously, I don't work there, but he doesn't know that. He responds that it is his girlfriend and that they are just having a little fight. She's shaking her head with every word he speaks. I tell him it's time for him to leave and he flips out and starts screaming at me. It takes all of 10 seconds for a bunch of people to notice, including one employee who pulls out a radio and starts talking to someone. As this guy yells at me, I keep myself firmly between him and the woman and repeat that he needs to leave in a calm voice. I figured that a manager would be by soon enough, so I wasn't overly worried. And sure enough, a manager and some of the actual store security, they have store logos and polos and look nothing like my uniform. They ended up restraining him as he kept alternating between screaming and cursing at me and the employees, and begging the young woman to just tell them that he is her boyfriend. I overheard while she was talking to store security that she had never met the guy before. I explained that I was just shopping and did not work there as I walked her to her car and we had a good laugh over that misunderstanding. She was very grateful that I helped regardless. This can probably be put under a few other subs, but I think it fits here best. Background: I used to be an hourly manager for Walmart, worked nights and had all the typical Walmart people incidents. The company underwent a lot of changes and promotion was looking grim, so I left on good terms with the store manager. I still live close to my old store and needed to grab a few things before taking my family to dinner. It was Father's Day, so I had khakis and a blue button up on. I happened to bump into my former store manager and we caught up for a bit. We had been talking close to the registers and, as we parted, Karen came screeching at me. I looked at my former boss and he grinned and nodded. Karen says, "Your cashier has verbally assaulted me and has humiliated me in front of all of those customers." She points at the cashier. Side note, I know this cashier. I hired and trained her. She had also babysat for me on several occasions. I'm good friends with her family. I say, "Slow down. Please, start from the beginning. That little witch told me my money is no good here. She wouldn't run my card and called me trash too." Me seeing this as a scam for free stuff? Well, please come with me and security can take a statement. I am sure they can pull footage from the register while you fill it out. I begin heading towards the security office and she begins to follow, but at the mention of the register footage, she stops cold and begins getting louder and irate. "I want my items. I want them now." While she's screaming, I recognize the head of security walking our way. "I understand, ma'am. Please come with me and this will go quicker." Security stops to talk to the store manager and I gesture for Karen to follow. We make our way to the security office. The store manager and security in tow. Security opens the door and lets Karen in. Inside, the footage is already on the screen, and the store manager moves past me into the room. He tells her, "Ma'am, we are going to have to detain you till the police arrive." "I will not wait. I want my things now. Who are you?" And apart from you yelling at this customer, gestures to me, I grin at her. "You have a stolen credit card on you and will wait for the police." The store manager shuts the door and turns to me. "So, when are you coming back?" I laugh and tell him, As much fun as that was, I am not. I have had my fill of retail. My little revenge on Karen's, I never told her I worked there. I acted as a concerned customer. Turns out the card was stolen and flagged. She got upset over her stolen card getting declined. So this has multiple layers. Follow me on this journey. So I work for a defense contractor. It's one of the big three. We are based in Guam, but in Florida for training until the summer. We are all in hotels, and here we are a few months into our trip, and all of a sudden the person doing our expense reports keeps kicking them back. Now we are incurring late fees which we all refuse to pay. She's saying that after 30 days we are responsible for the tax on the rooms, which is $13 a day, almost $400 a month. In our contract, the company has stated that they will pay for a trip to our home of record once a month, which none of us have been doing because we have been so busy. And here comes a malicious compliance. Now we all are scheduling trips home each month to break up the 30 days so we don't pay the tax on the hotel, while the company is now paying for flights to our homes of record. One guy is from Guam and his tickets are almost $2,000 for the round trip, so now it's costing them another $700 to $2,000 for flights each month. In another instance years ago, coming home from Japan, my flight had an 8-hour layover in Tokyo. I found a flight that was shorter but cost $200 more. They rejected it because it wasn't the lowest fare available. I am paid doorstep to doorstep when I travel, meaning I'm on a clock from when I leave my house until I get to my hotel at my final destination. Many of these travel days end up being around 23 hours. I thought the company would be cool with me saving them 8 hours of me on the clock. But nope. Okay then, 13 hours of double time at $100 an hour. So $1,300 over a $200 price difference. I'll take all that money. The people who write these contracts really do not think anything through. So a few months ago I got back into law enforcement, where I'm now part of a specialized tactical unit. Most of the time we're not in standard uniform. Instead, often we are in slacks, blue polos and black tactical vests with the initials for our department on the front. See where this is going? I probably also should mention that I'm also wearing a fairly noticeable belt with my sidearm, radio, cuffs, and all the normal cop stuff. So this morning I'm in a local location for a big box store with a very similar uniform. I have been in a Lego aisle, which at this location backs up to the electronics section so that it's Legos on one side and video games in glass display cases with cheap locks that are easy to pick on the other side. So I'm standing there considering getting something for a friend in another state whom I may be seeing next month, when a young woman walks up to me and asks if I work here. I point to the lettering on the front of my vest and politely tell her no. She apologizes and thanks me and walks down the aisle a bit. I finally decide not to get anything for my friend and turn to head out when I notice she's in the process of picking the lock on the display case, which pops off before I can even ask what she's doing. At this point, she sees me and waves before grabbing a handful of $100 games out of the case and shoving them under her shirt, and she starts heading for the front of the store. I decide to leave my cart and follow her. And lo and behold, she walks right past the registers and through the security scanners, which light up and start wailing. She starts walking faster, heading towards her car. I catch up to her just as she's trying to open it. I detain her and read her rights while the store manager and theft prevention officer catch up. We head back into the store where I radio for a patrol car while the manager takes care of pulling video and getting the paperwork in order. The whole time this lady is just sitting there and quiet. So I ask her what the heck was going through her head. Her reasoning was, "I didn't think you could arrest me while you were shopping. No violence, screaming, or assaults like the last time I posted, but certainly one of my other experiences." I've done cleared contract work for more than 20 years. One downside of cleared work is that there is no sneaking in late or out early as everything is logged. A few years ago I discovered that one upside is also that everything is logged. I was hired onto a 5-year contract, and for the first 4 everything was fine. I rode the train to work, did my required 40 hours, went home, and had no problems. Into year 5 the same thing happens that always happens in contracts. People start to leave. This is not unusual as the end of a contract holds some uncertainty, so people will find another new contract to move on to so they don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, the immediate effect is that the workload shifts to the people that stay and things start to slip. Why not hire more people? Nobody wants to come onto a contract that's in its last year. Well, on this contract I stayed because I liked the customer and intended to ride out the final year shenanigans. Things started to fall behind. We were down from 15 engineers to 5. And the customer complained that the company was not meeting their contract obligation. What did the company do to fix this? Offer hiring bonuses? Pay overtime? Make lucrative offers for people to stay? Nay. They called in their bull-busting everybody is inherently lazy boomer project manager to handle things. From day one, the boomer manager tells everyone that our lack of progress by 5 people on more than 100 active projects is simply a time management issue, and he threatens to pull the door logs to see who is actually at work for 8 hours a day. I figured he was bluffing and I didn't worry because having been on the train schedule for 4 years, I knew that every day I was in a building from 7 to 4, except for occasionally walking down the street to grab lunch. The key point here is that being a contractor, I couldn't work overtime without authorization, so for 4 years I had just put 40 hours a week on my timesheet. You may see where this is going. The fateful day comes when the boomer manager actually pulls the door logs and 2 of our engineers get a talking to about their time in the building and how claiming 40 hours without being there for 40 is fraud. I was upset by this because everybody that was left was working very hard, and the 2 guys the manager had confronted had been working on co-op projects at our off-site location for years, so unless he pulled those logs as well, he didn't, they would be short. So what did I do? I stopped by the boomer manager's office and asked what my door totals were. He told me I was fine and not to worry about it. I told him I just wanted to be sure my time in matched my timesheet, as I didn't want to get caught in timesheet fraud. Again, he said not to worry about it. So I headed down to see my buddy Tony in security and he pulled my logs for me. Next week I walked into the manager's office, closed the door and told him I had a problem. I had pulled my door logs and over the last 4 years I had averaged almost 45 hours a week in the office, but had only ever charged 40. I had almost 800 hours of unreported labor and didn't know what to do about that. He told me not to worry about it. It wasn't a big deal. Next step, I contacted our company rep and explained the situation to her. She did not think it wasn't a big deal. In the end, I signed an NDA, but the boomer manager got removed from his role. I bought our whole team beers and lunch, and the memo went out to the team telling us specifically to charge what we worked even if it had some overtime. Edit. My pay rate at the time was about $60 an hour, putting this shortage at just shy of $50,000.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.